When I went over there in 65, it was sort of at the end of an advisory effort that had probably started in 1960. And by 1965, the war had been escalating to the point where now conventional American forces were being asked for by the Vietnamese government, because they said they just couldn't do it with their troops. They needed some of our conventional forces. Advisors were not considered conventional forces. We weren't there to fight. We were there to show them how to fight. We would fight to defend ourselves, but we weren't there for fighting. Fighting was kind of a last resort for an advisor. But the American forces were starting to come even as I was coming into country. By the time I left in 1966, it was abundantly clear that the nature of the war was going to change, and it did.
I came into the service through a thing that was called Project 100,000. It was a system that our government had set up to get ex-offenders and what they called problematic people into the service in lieu of, part of Project 100,000 was this anyway, in lieu of doing jail time. That's how bad things were at the particular time that I entered the armed forces. I was pretty much literally given a choice in a courtroom on the Lower East Side, and not the Lower East Side, but Lower Manhattan, 100 Center Street, the Criminal Courts Building. They had like a district attorney, a Marine Corps recruiter, and an Army recruiter, and they brought out about 20 young men, kind of like me, who hadn't gotten in a whole lot of trouble yet, but were on the verge of, or at least hadn't got caught yet. Put it that way. Some of them. In my case, I was in custody at the time on a place called Rikers Island. So basically what the judge did, he essentially gave me a choice. Marine Corps has a blue bus out there. You can go get on that one, and they'll be taking you to a place where you can get your physical, and they'll fly you down to Paris Island, and you can begin your journey there. The Army has a green bus out there, and you can go get on that one. And they're going to be taking you over to a place called Fort Dix, and they're going to put you in a motivation platoon, kick your butt for a while, and then they're going to try to make a soldier out of you. And the Department of Corrections has a bus that they call the Black Mariah, and that's going to Sing Sing. And you can get on that one. And you have your, at that time, Sing Sing was the introduction to the criminal justice system for the state of New York, and you have your pick. That's about the last choice you're going to get today, young man, and that was the way it was presented to me.
I came from a really patriotic family where all the men who were veterans were highly honored, and a very, very strong sense of country, duty, those things. So when I went into the military and I got to Fort Dix, and there was a lot of talk about what was happening in Vietnam and how, it's sort of like the opportunity of infantry and artillery officers to get their fast promotions, and also just to be warriors. They were in the Army, and they wanted to be warriors. And I kind of had that same sentiment. I really wanted to be a warrior, and the closest I could get to it would be to be a nurse serving in a war zone.
Yeah, we were, like I say, we were going through high school, and everybody talking about the war, everybody talking about the draft. You have to register at 18. You have to. So between the ages of 18 and 20, you couldn't. You can't make any plans.
I'd been in school, and I was probably going to be drafted, and I'd been knocking around for a while and taking my time with school. So when the draft started to look like it was going to grab me, that's when I volunteered. I said, well, I need this adventure. I think I ought to see what's going on.
And I also wanted to get out of the environment, not so much my home environment, but I wanted to get out of East Oakland, San Leandro, Hayward. I I didn't see much future there. A lot of my friends were going to jail. Some of them had already died from drug overdoses, car and motorcycle accidents. People were beginning to carry guns, and I wanted out of that environment. So it was a mixture of patriotism and also just wanting to get away from what I had for the last 19 years.
And being young and full of energy, I thought this was going to be a great adventure and really wasn't concerned about it. But when we pulled into Quinyon Harbor, it was a very low overcast day, very foggy. Everything was gray and dark green. And I remember looking at the coastline at the time and thinking that there's folks over there who are going to try and kill us. And then I started feeling a little more mortal. But besides that, I guess I was 21 and bulletproof, and that soon changes.
I arrived at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was very hot. And of course, I seen people leaving, and I'm just coming in, so that was a little difficult going in and other ones leaving at the same time. Some were leaving not the way you'd like to see them leave.
And I can still recall looking across the vast expanse of the runway there in Da Nang, and there's all kinds of bunkers and protective walls and canopies set up to protect what's being stored there. And there's forklifts moving piles and piles and stacks and stacks and stacks of coffins loading into other areas, into another plane. And here I am, new in country, and there are hundreds of bodies going back.
I didn't know what the hell to think. Here I am on the road going somewhere, and you see, the blast, the lights, and you hear the sounds. But it was, when you got there, I said this once before in my, I spent quite a bit of time at as a group therapy, and this is so true. You're on an automatic mode. Everything is, you don't think about it.